Hello there, and good evening. I'm Foothills Action Network Chief Meteorologist Chris White. It's 7:14 in the evening here on Saturday or Sunday evening. Hope everyone's having a great Memorial Day weekend. Our severe weather coverage tonight is brought to you by our friends at LP France Stadium, Hickory Crawdads, who are on the field and playing right now as we speak. Just a few sprinkles out there. I'm going to turn it over to Dan. Dan's got the radar for us. Dan, what do you see?
Well, let's see what's going on, Chris. Here, of course, it's 7:15 on Sunday evening, and we've talked all day about the chance of severe weather across the region, and it was going to come in a couple different rounds. The first round was going to be with some discrete cells that were forming out ahead of a main line, and we've been lucky so far here in the foothills of Western Piedmont that we've not seen anything severe. But we do have some action going on, and you can see there's rainfall basically along and north of the Interstate 40, impacting areas along the Blue Ridge Parkway, where there's quite a bit of lightning from Asheville up to Mount Mitchell and up through Alta Pass and heading up into Avery and Watauga counties. And then as you work your way down into foothills into Caldwell County, parts of Alexander County, some pretty steady rain at this time, nothing severe. We'll put it into motion. You can see everything is moving off to the east. Essentially, if you are along and south of 40, you've not seen anything to this point, but that could change here in the next couple hours. You can see we have an organizing line of thunderstorms again from around Waynesville and Canton over to Asheville, back up to Marshall and Mars Hill over to Burnsville. And those are going to drop east, and it will go into our western counties of McDowell and Rutherford, possibly Polk, probably here in the next hour, and will sweep east through the entire region. As we head down into South Carolina, we are watching again some sails just to the north of Greenville, there along I-85. We need to see if this storm grows and could maybe clip far southern Rutherford, far southern Cleveland at some point. But right now, we're faring fairly well, but we still can't let the guard down as far as the weather for the rest of this evening.
That's right, Dan. And the entire area is now under severe thunderstorm watch, and that's going to run for two different times. If you're along and north of I-40, that severe thunderstorm watch is running until 9 p.m. For the areas south of 40 along Highway 74, including Polk County, that's going to run till 11 p.m. These are both really the same watch. There's a couple tornadoes possible with any discrete cell that gets going, like the one that's down over Greenville now. That would be one we need to watch. We'll watch this tail end Charlie southwest of Asheville, north of Silva. There, we've already had a confirmed tornado in Murphy and up into Cherokee County. That moved over to Franklin. It's down over the DuPont State Forest now and moving off to the east and the southeast. So this rain from roughly Morganton north is fairly light for the most part. There's pockets of heavy rain and thunder in northern Caldwell County. There's a big cell there in northern Wilkes County that is producing some small hail up in that area as well. Uh, that's more along the lines of what's going to go down to the east, and that's up there closer to that core MCS that's up there. So the the cells that we have to watch for is this stuff coming back across the mountains at this time. Uh, this stuff, as it looks linear. It's kind of like a QLCS, quasi linear mesoconvective system. You see how it's got these cuts in here where we've got notches built into it. Um, Anywhere we get that, the notch up, especially on this southern storm. So heads up Polk and Rutherford County. That right there could produce some type of significant weather as it gets east to Asheville and comes off the Blue Ridge. Not to say that any of these others couldn't. That's north and west of Asheville. There's going to be plenty of thunder and lightning with those, but I really want to keep my eye on this southern storm southwest of Asheville. Seems to be the most likely if we're going to see any tornadic development. Now, straight line damage and wind risk is also going to increase north of Asheville. So if you're Asheville, say to do Little Switzerland and out to pass, your threats up in this area. This includes Burke, Caldwell, and McDowell counties, the northwestern quadrants there, and you see that, and that is where we're going to see the greatest risk for damaging wind. Now, there still could be an isolated tornado up in there, but this is as it comes off the Blue Ridge. It looks like it may hold itself together a little more and produce some straight line winds. But these winds are going to be higher than what we normally see with any garden variety thunderstorm around here. We're talking about 70-mile-per-hour winds because at the lowest levels of the atmosphere, if you look at a set of stairs, the atmosphere climbs with temperature like that. Well, those set of stairs that come down to the surface are really steep. So the wind coming down from the top down doesn't have time to slow down before it reaches the ground because of friction. It really just comes straight on down with as steep as the lapse rate that we got. So Dan's put some times on there, 20 minutes or so, getting out to the east as it comes out of there. And North Cove's getting ready to get in on that at this time. There is a little Bowen segment about to come across Little Switzerland up in there. There's little Bowen segments that we have to watch for too, because as those little Bowen segments start to bow out, the wind behind them, the rear flow jet, pushes these storms out and bow them out like that, and we could get some enhancement of the winds roughly right there along that line where the green meets the red, east Spruce Pine, and coming down on to 226 now. So we're gonna watch that one too. And I'm also noticing a little bit of a inflow notch developing just west of Little Switzerland. It's on Poplar Peak there at north of Mount Mitchell. In there, we'll keep our eye on east of Hamrick right there. Some broad upper level rotation in there that it could come east, heads up for areas north of Marion for that. If that were to translate down to the east and southeast, when these if you get this supercell and it cuts off from this line here and it becomes discrete, it will slowly start to turn right because of the physics in the atmosphere. And so as it turns right, it's going to come down right across northern McDowell County, eventually making it down to Lake James. If I'm on Lake James right now, it's time to move off the lake and move to safe harbor ahead of this line of storms that's coming in. I know there's not a warning out with this right now, but as this comes off the Blue Ridge, we do see the potential for it to increase in intensity again. Dan?
Yeah, you can see that pretty well on the radar, Chris. You can kind of see how some energy to the south and west merged with that line. And now, as it has approached the Blue Ridge Parkway, it's pretty strong there in extreme southeast Yancey, and that will move into the higher terrain of McDowell County. Here's NC 80 for those familiar from the Blue Ridge Parkway, working your way down to Sunnyvale and eventually to Lake Tahoma. But the worst of this will probably more go over toward Little Switzerland, Turkey Cove. It'll clip the northern part of Woodlawn and North Cove Crossing. And then for our folks in North Cove and Ashford, at the very least, some very heavy rain is going to be coming out of Mitchell County and coming across the very northern end of McDowell County over the next 30, 45 minutes.
For sure. That is some heavy rain. There's even some hail. You see a hail pocket developing in there right on top of Perry's Peak as it's coming east. So the little hail core in there. It's probably some pea-sized hail falling near the sea low, just southwest of sea low there. Again, I'll mention that our feed and this severe weather coverage is brought to you tonight by Hickory Crawdads, who are down right now in the Oh, I just saw it in the top of the fourth. They're down 2-0 to Asheville. There, be sure to catch their homestand that's coming up in June. Their first homestand of June. I think it starts June 5th, and those promotions are running across the bottom of the screen. So we're tracking severe weather across the area. A severe thunderstorm watch we're re-racking that is in effect for the entire all of the foothills and the mountains of western North Carolina. And I just got a new scan on the radar, and there's some probably some nickel size hail now coming approaching 221 north of Woodlawn in that Peppers Creek area there. So that's the strongest sail that we've got in our area right now. And it's over at Osborne Ridge and Strawberry Ridge there. And
yeah, Chris, that's actually along.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's actually
You're
along 226A, and it just updated
Okay.
again. So yeah, you're right. Basically, from the top of Cox's Creek Mountain on 226 over into North Cove, Peppers Creek. You mentioned that just a minute ago. Yeah, there may be some hail in that right there. You can just see it just continues to get stronger, and that's going to work its way into the northern part of McDowell County here.
And as that cell, you see how it's kind of broke off from that line a little bit to the west in Burnsville. Now we may be having some attenuation issues with the Black Mountain and Mount Mitchell up in there. I'm sure that, I mean, this is still continuing south and tying in. If it were to come off the Blue Ridge and become discrete, it's going to turn to the right. So where it comes off, and what we could have too is a splitting supercell we talked about earlier today, where the southern part of this is going to come off and go to the right, and the northern part takes off and continues on to the northeast. That northern storm would be the hail producer. We're going to get the gigantic hail. The southern storm would be the one we would have to watch for a potential tornadic development there. So that's the storm that's coming across 226 right now, 226A.
Yeah, Chris, you're kind of talking about how that storm splits right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we need to watch that northern part as that goes that way, and then if something, generally all this energy back toward Asheville, it's going to separate itself a little bit and go to the southeast.
That's right. Yep.
Hey,
So that's something to watch. Go ahead.
Speaking of the Asheville storm, let me put a track on it for folks in Rutherford and Polk County. See if I can do this right quick. So this storm's moving off to the east and southeast at about 35. And of course, that's moving through the heart of Buncombe County right now, but eventually you're going to work your way into places like Bear Wallow and Edneyville, Back Cave, Chimney Rock Village, Lake Lure, about 47 minutes away, Sunnyview in just a little under an hour. So Rutherford County and the very northern part of Polk County, Pea Ridge, about an hour away, Green Hill, a little bit over an hour away. So this area right here, if it gets a little bit stronger, makes its way, we'll have to catch that and see what happens for our folks there in Rutherford and Polk County in the next hour.
For sure. I was just checking offline here, off to the side, and looking at a few perimeters as well. So I'm looking at the potential for damage and winds with the ongoing line there, and it's really, really increased roughly, and I can't show this on air, but from Morganton to Marion down all the way down into Rutherfordton and Forest City, there's kind of like an egg-shaped circle there where our damaging wind risk is increasing, and it is because of those cells that we were just talking about. Flipping that over and taking a look at at the tornado risk. The tornado risk is relatively low, but it is there roughly from Marion to Morganton. You get east of there, and then we lose a lot of the wind shear that this trough east of the mountains is allowing. So see those winds increasing there just a little bit as they're coming off the Blue Ridge. Also noticing an uptick in lightning as they're coming across there. Nothing severe at this time, but that is something that we've got to watch fairly closely.
Let's put this back in the regular view, Chris. People can see what's happening. That's in the very lowest scan of the radar, really showing that area you talked about from Little Switzerland over to North Cove. I'm going to go to just a slightly higher tilt, and you can see more of the precipitation and how it covers a larger area. So, yeah, I would not be at all surprised if northern McDowell County is getting some gusty winds right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're probably right there. I live just north of Marion. I've got a camera on there that is showing the leaves. It's pretty still here at this time. So, kind of show you what's going on out there. Pretty still right now, but we'll continue to watch that as we go through. So again, we're tracking the strongest cell right now is coming across Spruce Pine and getting ready to get a new sweep of the radar here, and it's right into North Cove now. So the leading edge of that's right on coming on to 221. It's raining heavily there now. Woodlawn, the rain should be picking up severe. Should be picking up if you know people in the Linville Gorge. This is going to come right across the North Cove Ridge, right into Linville Gorge. In that area, Lake James, this is moving right for you. We're going to see it looks like maybe a gust front out ahead of this as well. So that gust front's already starting to reach down into the northern parts and western parts of Lake James, the Linville boat access there across that area. So here's your winds on there. Nothing too outstanding right yet, but that is a strengthening cell. And it does look like, I'm looking off screen at the radar as well, at a higher at a higher tilt in the atmosphere. It does look like it's trying to split still. There's an obvious gust front there that's crossing Highway 80 and the Blue Ridge Parkway right now. But we really need to watch this. This cell here is strong now, but we've got to watch this one south of Asheville to see if, especially for Polk and Rutherford County, southern McDowell, not out of the woods of that as well. That's probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour out at this point. So right now we're tracking the strongest storm coming out of Spruce Pine. And as this comes off the ridge into Jonas Ridge, into Rocky Knob, south of Blowing Rock, you can see that QLCS sneaking up through there, that squiggly line of storms there in coming out of Blowing Rock as well. So Lenore, this is good. Your activity is going to pick up too. I would expect anything north of the storm that's coming out of Spruce Pine into that line up into Blowing Rock. If it holds its own and strengthens, that may be our first severe warning of the day. So if I'm living in Gamewell and Morganton, Lenore, Sawmills, Marion, Lake James, Glen Alpine, Gold, Piedmont, Cedar Rock, and anywhere in Caldwell and Burke counties, these are going to be our first impacted areas. And then, of course, as we get over into Alexander County, these are
Chris,
really
I've got
strict.
a storm track on that cell for you.
There you go. So North Cove, it's on top of you now. They're in Table Rock 20 minutes from now, so roughly 7:50. Gold around 7:55. A little after 8 o'clock in Glen Alpine. Calvin Heights there, just west of Morganton, between Glen Alpine and Morganton. We're talking 30 minutes from now, so just after 8 o'clock there in Morganton. Then we drop down, and we're looking at Amherst and Drexel and Enola roughly 40 minutes from now, so just after 8:10. And then Peachy Gap and Valdez Flat Gap, that's going to move about 45 minutes in your area there. And the primary threat with this right now is probably going to be the wind. If it does strengthen, and I'm watching cloud tops, and it does look like they're cooling, so we could start seeing some larger hail fall out of that as well over North Cove. I would suspect there's probably some pea-size hail falling up there now.
And Chris, you know how that generally, when those storms come off the mountains in that area in McDowell County, they may even accelerate some more. So those times that we showed maybe could be 5 minutes too slow.
Absolutely could. Yep, I'm totally agreeant of that. Could be. Don't rely too much on that. That is a baseline time, but you can see that lightning activity really increasing there on that McDowell County cell, and see that little bow segment coming down off the Black Mountains down east of Asheville toward the town of Black Mountain. That's going to be a gust front, and it's going to be interesting to see if that's able to, if these storms tie themselves back together, or this cell up to the north over McDowell becomes more discreet and tries to continue off to itself. There's that high wind coming off the Black Mountains now down into the town of Black Mountain.
Yep.
It's kind of got that Bowen segment coming out with that jet feeding into the back line of this, that cold pool of air pushing out ahead. So that's something to watch for Black Mountain, even over into the northwest parts of McDowell County and Ridgecrest and those areas. Your winds are going to pick up fairly quickly here over the next 10 or 15 minutes or so.
Let's zoom out, Chris, and kind of give an overview of the entire coverage area. We talked about those severe cells in South Carolina. They look to be mainly heading east, so that's good. Maybe that will not impact our far southern areas. But this line is obviously starting to take hold as it's getting ready to come off the Blue Ridge. And Morganton, you've probably got about 20 minutes to work with. And Hickory, maybe 45, 50 minutes, as this line will continue to work to the south and east. And then we'll see eventually what happens when it gets into Marion and Morganton and Valdez, and does it eventually get down into the South Mountain area. So, yep, that seems to be kind of the big thing we're watching right now. Thankfully, again, non-severe, but would not be at all surprised if that changes.
Absolutely. And again, re-rack for those just joining us, I saw our numbers tick up again there. The entire area is under severe thunderstorm watch for the I-40 corridor that runs until 9 p.m. For the Highway 74 corridor counties, including Lincoln County, Polk County, Rutherford, Cleveland, Gaston, that's going to run until 11 o'clock tonight. Here comes the gust front through Marion there. You can see the wind picking up. It was still just a short time ago, but you could definitely see the wind starting to pick up there north of Marion. That's out my front window. So pretty good gust there, probably a 30 mile an hour gust right there as that's coming through. So again, if you're on Lake James, too late. Really, you've got to hunker down at this point and seek shelter at the nearest place that you can. You're not going to get your boat loaded off before this rushes through the area. We're talking 40 mile per hour winds that could capsize small craft out there. That is definitely going to cause a problem with white capping on the lake. Rhodius, you've still got time now. If you go now, some of you may be able to get off the lake before this line gets there. But Lake James, it's too late. I hope there's nobody kayaking down the river from Glen Alpine to Morganton there. That's going to be a gusty ride here shortly, and there's going to be a lot of lightning come across that area as well.
Let's put that velocity into motion again. You can see how it's progressing east, now working its way into far western sections of Burke County, and then again that area around Black Mountain. That's eventually going to get into Old Fort, Crooked Creek in southwest McDowell.
Yeah, and I
So
know the rain's already picking up there. It's a lot to moderate maybe at times, but the main line, the showstopper, is backed out to the northwest still.
you can see a pretty good increase of lightning there in West Asheville, there along 40 and 26. And again, that's going to drop down into Henderson, and it might clip parts of Polk and Rutherford at some point, 30, 35 minutes from now. Looking back to the north, there's still some pretty good rain. And it's fallen for about an hour or longer in parts of Caldwell County, and we're just going to increase those rates as this line moves through. I'd be curious to see how much rain's fallen in this area in the last 2 hours. It's going to pile up pretty quick. Of course, for our folks in the southern counties, basically along south of 74, you're quiet at this time. But as this line continues to try to come together as it moves off the mountains, that's eventually going to work southeast and work into the western Piedmont. So that's what we're looking at 7:40 p.m. here on a Sunday evening. Good thing we have no current severe thunderstorm warnings, and Chris will be right back with us in just a second. But to kind of show you what's happening, we have this line of thunderstorms that are moving off the Blue Ridge, off to the south and east at about 30, 35 miles per hour, and they're starting to organize right now, especially across McDowell, northwest Burke County, and then with this stuff coming out of the Black Mountain Range, it's going to move into southwest McDowell and northwest Rutherford. So that's where we're at right now with the weather. Good thing, no severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. Those are relegated to some cells down in South Carolina. And good thing these storms are moving off to the east as well. Again, a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect basically along and north of Interstate 40 until 9 o'clock. It'll be interesting to see if maybe that gets extended depending on how this line evolves over the next hour. And then for our southern counties, Polk, Rutherford, Cleveland, and Lincoln, a watch has been issued until 11. And that would be mainly for this area right in here that we're watching right now. If it strengthens, it could produce some strong damaging winds and maybe some hail. Again, we cannot totally rule out an isolated tornado, but that threat seems to be reduced at this time, which is always good news. But anytime you're dealing with severe weather, you can't rule that out. So let's zoom in on what's happening on the radar. And this is really starting to kind of bow out from 181 Jonas Ridge down into the North Cove and Ashford area in McDowell County, just on the western side of Lake James, and then back over to Sunnyvale there along Highway 80, Mount Mitchell State Park, and then working its way down into the Black Mountain area. There's going to be some pretty strong winds in that area, and you can see some light to moderate rainfall, has moved into the Marion and Old Fort area, and that's moving off to the south and east. Morganton, you're dry for now, but in the next 20 minutes, that's going to change in a big way. You'll probably see some gusty winds before then as this line kind of releases an outflow of wind away from the rain. So that's probably moving through western Burke County right now and will be into Morganton here pretty soon. Hickory, you're dealing with a little bit of light rain, but that's going to pick up when this line moves through in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Rutherfordton, Forest City, Tryon, you're good right now. Shelby, you're good right now. Lincolnton, you're good right now. But be on the lookout as we'll have to see how this line evolves over the next hour or so as to the threat of severe weather. Taylorsville, you're dealing with some light and moderate rain right now. No lightning showing up on the radar. A good bit of rain in Lenore right now, and you've had that for a while, and you'll probably see some lightning strikes here pretty soon as everything moves off to the south and east. Let's pull up velocity again, and you can kind of see here, and I'll draw this a little bit. that area of wind we talked about coming off the mountains just a minute ago, you can see it's moved through northern McDowell County and it continues to progress to the east and is moving into Burke County. They're along 126. They're on the backside of Lake James, Patty's Creek area. I hope any campers that are out there have taken shelter this time, because that's probably a pretty good gust of wind right now. At least it's not severe as far as the fine from the National Weather Service. But, if you're in a camper and you get a good gust of wind, it's not going to matter. It could create some issues.
Sure will, Dan. And, just looking off the surface just a little bit at the velocities, these are pretty high base storms. So they're starting to lower through the troposphere. And as they lower through the troposphere, they become more organized. We're going to see the wind risk increase. So anywhere east of 1864, your wind threat is increasing pretty good across the area now. There's a look at what's going on north of Marion here. Some 20 and 30 mile per hour gusts. Nothing too outrageous yet. So right now, everything's going across Dobson's Knob. I saw some questions coming in. Dan, let's head over and see if we can overlay those for just a minute here. Taylorsville, and I'm going to try to catch a lot of these. And I did see the comments with the heavy winds in North Cove. I guarantee they're probably 40 mile an hour or so up there. And Taylorsville, that's going to be coming your way here. I don't know, about 45 minutes to an hour from now across the area. So just watching these comments come in. The Oak Hill area, and Amanda, I don't know if you're talking about the Caldwell County Oak Hill or the Burke County Oak Hill area, but both are going to be impacted by this. The Oak Hill area in Morganton, northwest of Morganton, you've got minutes before the gust front hits you and then the rain hits you as well. But then the Oak Hill area over in eastern Caldwell County, that area is a little bit longer, probably going to be 20, 30 minutes before it gets there. So there you go for Burke County then. It's coming down right on top of you. Again, it's not severe at this time. You got some 20 and 30 mile per hour winds for sure coming out of there. There may be some 40 mile per hour gusts. I'm sure there were in North Cove. The ridge top there in the north ridge top of the Linville Gorge is gusting out pretty good right now. So that's so okay. That's about all the questions we got. We'll go back to radar here, and we'll show you and look at exactly what we're looking at here. Here comes the front or the line of storms. It is a congealed line. That's good news. We're going to watch this sail southeast of Asheville. That one for Polk and Rutherford County as it comes off. That one has our attention, and as well, Lake Lure. If you're not already on Safe Harbor, now's the time to get there with your boat. This storm's going to come in, and this could be the highest wind gust. There could be some 40 or 45 mile per hour, maybe 50 mile per hour winds by the time this gets to the Lake Lure area. It's pouring the rain now over Lake James, and then we're talking about real gusty winds all the way up to the west of Lenoir. So if you're west of 1864, we're talking about the strong winds there. So,
Chris, I would not want to be a truck driver coming across Old Fort Mountain right now with that gust of wind.
Absolutely not. Yeah. And thankfully, we're not getting that supercell down in Greenville, because I'm seeing pictures of the ping pong ball size hail coming out of that. So if we could keep that out of our area, that'd be great. So
You know,
Severe
to kind of
thunderstorm
look at
watch is going to continue. Go ahead, Dan.
what's happening right now. Of course, we see the areas that are being impacted, but Morganton, you're just a few minutes away, maybe 15 minutes. Eventually, Valdez, 20 to 30 minutes. Hickory, about 30 minutes. Um, Marion, you're going to get a quick increase of rain here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. That will work down into Glenwood eventually. And then we'll start looking at parts of northern Rutherford County, uh, southern Burke County. So, you know, these areas that haven't seen really anything today, you could be on borrowed time, as it looks like. At the very least, some heavy rain, some gusty winds, and some lightning will be impacting your area within the next 40, maybe 45, or excuse me, 30 to maybe 45 minutes if we start talking about Cleveland County and southwest Catawba.
And there's our first warning of the day. It is going to be for the southern cell, a severe thunderstorm warning now for Polk and Rutherford County. This is going to include the possibility of a tornado. Remember, we were talking about that line that's south, that tail end Charlie there that we were worried about. This is also going to include southern McDowell County, Rutherford County, Henderson, Polk, and Buncombe County. So the severe thunderstorm warning now in effect, and that's going to run until 8:45. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing large hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts currently. But what is organizing in there, if you go into the velocities and you really look, just south of Asheville, right there near the airport, there's a couplet in there that's developing. And we've got to watch that close. That's right just northeast of the airport there, east of 26. And it's going to come right down towards Rutherford County, Lake Lure area. The severe winds on the north side of that, as this cell comes off, is going to include hail with it. So we're going to talk about quarter size hail with that cell right now. And as this thing tries to cut off down to the south, that's where we could get an isolated tornado on that. So that's our first warning of the day that we are keeping track of across the area. So
Yeah, let's put that back there and we'll put it into motion again right quick, Chris, while I'm getting this text information out onto our pages.
Oh yeah, go ahead. So I'll take it, Dan. You're good if you want to post that out there. So we're here. We're re-racking what's going on. There's a tail end Charlie storm that's come across Asheville there, and this is a whole QLCS. We call it a QLCS because it's a quasi-linear convection line of storms, and there's little kinks and notches all in here. Anywhere where we get those little notches to develop, that's where we could start to see a spin up. There's one just west of Morganton now that's developing that we're going to have to watch, and that one's going to go for that would go across north of Morganton into Caldwell County unless it strengthens, and it could turn right and impact Morganton. Again, non-severe there. You're looking back to the southwest, and you're saying, well, the storm that is over Morganton and Marion looks stronger, but the problem is we've got attenuation going on down here south of Asheville, where the radar beam is not getting up and over those mountains along the South Carolina, North Carolina border. And it's hard to see exactly what's going on there. So looks like a huge shelf cloud coming across now. I'm getting pictures from the lake. Beautiful shelf cloud there out ahead of this line. Thanks, Christy, for that. I'll figure out if we can get that posted on our pages there. So big shelf cloud coming across, and if you're looking, our camera network on the lake probably has caught that. And I've got to tell you, I'm really watching this cell west of Morganton, just to the west of Oak Hill now, and really trying to maybe try to get something to spin up there. That's a little suspect in there. One radar frame ahead of this I think, Dan, I don't know why I'm looking off screen at this one. But yeah, there's two couplets in there. You can kind of see them here. That's the latest scan, I believe. With the shelf cloud coming in, I'm going to try to post that. So this is a good sign of strengthening there with the shelf cloud that's running across. And I'm gonna push that even to Caldwell because that storm's going to move over to the east there as well.
Chris, we're getting a very good gust of wind here at my house in Pleasant Gardens. Trying to pull up our camera for Lake James.
Yeah.
Can y'all see that on the camera?
We can. Yeah, that's a good picture. Hold it right there, Dan. Look at those sheets of rain just coming across with that wind now. This is right the greatest.
And just for reference, Chris, this is along Powerhouse Road, looking basically kind of west northwest across Lake James, there in Burke County.
Yep.
Right into where that's coming across.
Look, the wind just whipping. You're starting to get those lapse rates coming down there. See how it's whipping the trees there with the steep lapse rates. No tornado there, but look at the amount of rain coming down and the amount of wind hitting this area. That's probably the slapping motion of those winds coming out of that storm indicate that it is strengthening still. So real unstable atmosphere ahead of that. Heads up Glen Alpine and Morganton. This is coming. You're watching it live right here at Lake James on Foothills Weather Network. And this camera is sponsored by Bones Jones Burgers and Butchery. And you're able to see this live. There looks like maybe some small hail falling in there as well. But that slapping nature against a tree, unstable atmosphere, you're starting to really see those winds increase in there. As this is coming across, it's going to come right down towards Glen Alpine, then down towards Morganton as well there. So real interesting. Great grab there, Dan. Outstanding.
Yeah, let me see if I can get the radar back on here right quick just to show what's happening across the area. Trying to manage all these.
So we yeah.
There we go.
Doing a good job. Good job, Dan. So I'm looking at the sail now, back to the southwest where our warning is, and just taking another look at it for Rutherford and Polk counties. Doesn't look like a lot on there. It's a tail end Charlie, but a sneaky little couplet in there trying to develop. It's right. There's two areas of concern right on number 9. Southwest of McDowell County, and then southeast of Fairview on the Polk. I believe that's the Polk County line. Let me zoom out and get my.
That is where here. Polk, Henderson, and Buncombe all kind of comes together between Girton, and when you cross down heading toward Fairview there in Buncombe County. You're right. That's definitely interesting. We need to keep an eye on that very tail of that. And of course, the very gusty winds have now moved through Crooked Creek and going into the Lake Lure area. So I hope, of course, it's approaching 8 o'clock. Hopefully everybody's in shelter right now.
I hope those cookouts are done for the day. And, it's not a good time to be outside right now across the foothills. That is absolutely for sure. So re-racking what we're looking at here. And mine's just completely boogered up here. Yeah, so we're watching these two areas. The tail end Charlie there. Then there's heavy thunderstorms back across central McDowell County with a lot of thunder and lightning. That lightning is increasing, but the lightning is really increasing west of Morganton and moving down right towards Glen Alpine and Morganton. We saw that slapping nature just minutes ago of the wind coming down out of those storms and the slapping nature it was having against those trees. Very good signs of strengthening thunderstorm there as it came across, and you can see it's just pouring the rain there now. A little bit of what we're seeing across the area. If you go further north, I got to tell you, this Burke County storm, it needs a warning. That's we're getting close to 1-inch hail producers there. I'm not, and then go into Buffalo Cove in Caldwell County, another strengthening cell there just to the north of Lenoir that's going to go into Kings Creek and those areas. That's down along the Highway 1864 corridor. If you're over into Taylorsville right now, you're starting to get to Anvil, but in just a few minutes, I mean, we're talking 15, 20 minutes, Allendale, then down to Taylorsville, then Bethlehem, you're going to get that shelf cloud come in too. There's got to be a gorgeous shelf cloud all the way up into Lenoir that's coming across for this thing. And I hope you're able to safely capture that before the storm hits. So I'm looking over at so our app is pushing alerts out that right ahead of this storm in Morganton that a dangerous storm is approaching here. There's a severe thunderstorm warning
Basically
now
covering that
for
whole
Morganton.
line, Chris.
And it's going to be for Marion, Morganton. That's going to get Lenoir. It's going to get just south of Lenoir and Gamewell in there too. 60-mile-per-hour winds, a quarter-size hail in there as well. So very strengthening line of storms now coming off the Blue Ridge. We're expecting swaths of damage, not just an isolated area where a tornado is. Now, there's a potential tornado on the southern storm, but I got to tell you, there are some kinks in this line where it's created the need for that tornado possible tag here for Caldwell, Catawba, Burke, McDowell, Polk, Rutherford, Cleveland, and Lincoln counties. I mean, that literally almost covers our whole area minus Alexander County. And I would say Caldwell is going to have, Taylorsville is going to have one very, very shortly there. So this cell that's getting ready to come across Morganton is right now the strongest. There's another strong one that's producing potentially 1-inch hail across Old Fort as well. Coming down, but then down to the south, Polk, Rutherford heads up. Again, this is getting ready to cross right. That tail end Charlie is getting ready to cross right into the Lake Lure area across the western parts of Rutherford County, and we could have a potential tornado there. So it's a strengthening line of storms coming across. We want to seek shelter away from windows and doors in the interior rooms of a home, away from anywhere where flying debris could come through a window and hit you. Because what's going to happen is as this picks up, this is a trampoline warning now for, garbage can trampolines, whatever you call it, in Cleveland, Rutherford, Lincoln, and Catawba counties. You got a little bit of time where you could get in there and get that up in those areas. If you're in Burke, McDowell, Northern Rutherford, Caldwell, Alexander counties, it's just time to hang it up and let it fly. But hopefully everybody's indoors there. Shelby probably going to be hit. Shelby, keep your eye out there because this is moving down south in your area, and I would expect it to be a little stronger in your area just because of the dynamics that are ahead of this down across Shelby there as well. So let's go back over and show you the radar as we are tracking right now. And we could see clearly that line of storms as it comes across. Again, our severe weather coverage is brought to you by the Hickory Crawdads. Let's talk to our storm spotter, Chris Brown. Chris Brown joins us from Alexander County. Chris, what are you seeing?
Well, we're just now pulling out of the driveway.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying. Where do I need to get for that one that's coming in to Taylor right now? Because I don't have radar pulled up.
So if you're looking for the one in there, it's coming across Cedar Rock and down 6490, probably. So anywhere you've got a view of the northwest facing sky, maybe down around the lake, or uh, I'm trying to think, anywhere right in there where you could see northwest, there's probably a gorgeous shelf cloud
Well,
in there.
we're trying to get in position right now.
Okay. All right. Join us and shoot us a picture when you do. Uh, and we'll continue to track this. So Chris Brown, there in Taylorsville, going to try to get in position. Going to track this cell for us, this northern cell that's coming out of Lenore, move it off to the east and the southeast, and then we're talking about the strong cell across Morganton as well there. So uh, back back across Old Fort, there's a street that in Sell right on top of I-40 now that's going to come down and go right through Crooked Creek down into Vane Mountain. And then further south than that, we've got the tail end Charlie heads up for Lake Lure and the area just down off to the south and east of Lake Lure. We're talking about the potential for a developing tornado there
Chris,
across that area. Go
we
ahead.
need to watch that area right there. That's Oak Hill, Morganton. They're along 181. There's probably some damage right there, I'd say.
I would suspect there is. Yeah, that's there's probably some 60, 65 mile per hour winds coming through there. Let me grab another phone. I'll be right back.
While you're doing that, Chris, you can see that's one area that looks really suspicious. Oak Hill, Morganton, Glen Alpine, Calvin. Thinking about some places in this area. Catawba Meadows Park and over toward some of those areas just to the north and west of the uptown there in Morganton. Got to be some strong winds, and that'll actually move over towards 64 over around Johns River and the Catawba River. Chesterfield, you might miss the heaviest part of that, but that's going to continue east, and it should eventually work its way over just close to Drexel in the next few minutes. It ain't going to take long. This line is accelerating, and you can see it as well, how it has slammed through the heart of McDowell County, and it's now in the southern part of McDowell County, and then it goes back to this far southwestern flank of this line that we've been keeping an eye on. But you can see, let's put that into motion. That might help a little bit. But you can see how that wind is just translating east in a hurry. There is a ton of lightning. I'm getting near continuous strikes of lightning here at my house in McDowell County. Thankfully, it's moving, so that should decrease pretty soon. But Marion, Glenwood, Dodgersville, Salem, Morganton, Valdez, Drexel, Eichard. Eventually, it's going to get into Hickory. We're going to have to watch Sawmills. Eventually, we're going to have to watch Taylorsville. Some very dangerous lightning and this extension of wind. And then once we get into the South Mountain area, we're going to have to start talking about Golden Valley, Bostic, Sunshine, Kaiser, Polkville, Lawndale, Vale in Lincoln County. I mean, we're talking in the next 30 minutes for y'all. It's really accelerating. And then ultimately, Shelby, Lincolnton, Maiden, Bandy's, Catawba, those areas probably 30 minutes out. It's this line is really accelerating.
It is that rear flank, the draft, the jet rear flank draft jet is coming into it. If I can talk, and you're going to start to see that cold pooling take effect that we talk about so much. Really start to push this thing south. That should keep those supercells out of our area, though. The one area we're concerned about with that tornado down on the southwest corner of this line as it comes into northern Polk and Rutherford County. You see the little appendage off the very south side of this storm now. Keep your eye on that. That could be the wall cloud starting to develop there as it drops south and to the east.
Yeah,
That's going to go right toward Bat Cave, Chimney Rock, and Lake Lure.
yeah, we need to keep an eye on that, Chris, for sure. The communities there in the Rutherford County, and then Sunnyview, Poplar Grove as we head into Polk County. We need to definitely keep an eye on that. If you're along Highway 9, if you're along 64 here in Rutherford County, find a safe spot for a while, because this is going to, at the very least, produce some very heavy rain and some wind. But with that hooking there on the tail end of this entire line, you always kind of have to be on the lookout for a quick spin up.
Hey, Chris, any update from you there? I know you're trying to get in position. Okay, he must be trying to get in position still. We'll just jump in when you can there. I'll leave you unmuted, Chris, when you want to.
Can you hear me
Dan,
now?
I'm looking. Yeah, I've got you. I've got you now. Go ahead, Chris Brown in Alexander County.
I was looking at the quick radar while I had a chance here at the intersection where I was at. It looks like that part coming out of. Okay, now that stopped. Coming out of Caldwell is going to come right towards town. The worst part, is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that, Chris. Absolutely is going to come
So
right towards town. There's a little notch in there too. So just a heads up on that. Keep that notch is right on top of the 6490, probably High Brighton Mountain in there.
So we're going to try to. I'm going to try to see if I can get up here at Lenny's Mountain where I can overshoot. It looks right now it's pretty rain. The rain's so hard it's covering anything up.
Yeah, I'm going to bump in right here. A huge microburst hitting west of Morganton now on 181. I've got wind showing up on radar off the surface just a bit there. Looking at the GR product here of 65 knots, so upwards of 70 miles per hour. This is just west of Morganton there, and as the hail core has now, the hail core is kind of on the northeast side of Morganton. But there's a big splat on the backside there where we're seeing an increase in winds, and I'd expect there probably to be some damage to trees and power lines in that area fairly shortly.
And that's going to go right over town, ain't it, Chris?
It is going to go right over town. It sure is. Right in the heart of Morganton. It is going right over Morganton now, down to exit 105. Down there, exit 103, Interstate 40 from exit 100 to 106 is going to be impacted by that splat of wind now.
Yeah, that's
trying to pull up our weather stations on the Burke County Mesonet, looking at wind gusts along Burkemont Avenue, and there's not much going on there right yet.
Yeah, I'm sure for motorists along 40 there in Morganton, that's really going to slow down for the next little bit.
Yeah, and your 1-inch hail core now is on the northeast side of Morganton. I'll drop down and hit this Lake Lure storm because that's really got my attention still as well, Dan, because the VIL is really increasing on that storm, and we've got a pretty good appendage off that southwest side. So heads up, Lake Lure, if you're hearing this, tornado precautions. It's time for your tornado precautions. From Lake Lure down Highway 64, down coming into Rutherford. It's going to track right along the Highway 64 corridor from Chimney Rock to Lake Lure. Now, I'm not saying there's a tornado on the ground yet, but it appears on radar that there could be one forming just to the northwest of Lake Lure, and the radar coverage is not as good in this area. So tornado precautions in effect there for Chimney Rock, Bat Cave, River Bend, and Lake Lure. Interior room away from windows and doors. Let this storm pass. It will be over with as soon as it gets there. Almost, it's going to last probably 10 minutes as it gets through there. So.
Yeah, let's kind of review where we're at here. It's about 8:15 on Sunday evening. We do have a pair of severe thunderstorm warnings. Um, one smaller warning area for Rutherford and Polk, and then the Weather Service a few minutes ago uh, put out a warning, basically like covering that whole line from.
I'm seeing reports that someone spotted a tornado west of Oregon at Lake James. I wouldn't totally rule it out, but I've not seen anything confirming that. I wouldn't. There was no debris signature or anything like that. Of course, we're looking fairly high in there. And sorry, Dan, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just wanted to get that out there.
No,
It looks like that looks like a microburst that's hitting Morganton to me more so than
let's
a
zoom in
tornado.
again and see what's happening, and let's look at velocity again around Morganton.
There very well may have been a brief spin up, but I think what you were seeing, look at those winds increasing. You're getting into the blues. That's nearly 70-mile-per-hour winds in there. So, yeah, so that's that wind, and you saw that as it come across Lake James, it was just slapping. And if you were seeing that wind just slap those trees, that's still straight line winds. It's coming out of the top of the storm, and because the stair steps, we've talked about the steps, the lapse rates in the atmosphere, because they're so steep, a steeper set of steps, you could fall down, and if you were fall down them, it would go down quicker, right? Well, if the steps are not as steep, you would fall down and maybe fall down a couple, but maybe not reach the bottom. The lower levels of the atmosphere today are set up that it is a very steep staircase. And where that wind comes down to 3,000 feet, it's just going to mix right down to the surface there without much in the way of any friction. So looking at roads here, that's right on top of East Meeting Street. That's right on top of East Meeting Street and those areas. So I am seeing damage now around west of Morganton. So confirmed microburst west of Morganton with trees down on Independence Boulevard, Wamsutta Mill Road. Seeing trees down on St. Mary's Church Road, England Alpine on Turkey Tail Lane, numerous trees down. This is only going to spread more south and east from there. So Valdez, get ready. Down into Drexel, get ready. Strengthening winds coming ahead of this line. And not just there, not just in Burke County. I'm seeing wind profiles really increase south of Marion, Crooked Creek in that area. Wouldn't be surprised to start seeing some trees down in that area. But I will say the VILs, the cloud tops have come down a little bit. So the health threat has come down just a little bit in all cells across the area. There's also a pretty strong wind gust going across into Alexander County at this time. Chris, are you in position to talk? What are you seeing out there?
Well, we're just getting top of the Lenny's Mountain now. I mean,
okay,
I don't think it's quite got
that line of strong winds is line of strong winds is coming across the county line now. Just so you're aware, there. So heads up southeast of Morganton. I'm watching the storm try to notch up there southeast of Morganton. We're heads up there. We're starting to get this to negatively tilt, and we're going to have to watch this closely. There is the microburst on the north side, but I'm looking down across the South Mountains, George Hildebrand in that area. Heads up, there could be a potential tornadic cell forming down on the south side, a little bit further south than that, Dan. That's the big microburst there. But I'm watching south of Yellow Gap and Enola there as this tries to tilt negatively. It's going to go across right into the South Mountain State Park Visitor Center, right over into George Hildebrand, South Mountains Fire Department, and down in there as well. Go ahead, Dan.
And Chris, these storms, we always have to monitor these storms when they cross over South Mountains. Do they even organize more as they head into Cleveland County? And I think for folks in Upper Cleveland County, Southwest Catawba, Western Lincoln, most Rutherford County, you need to, if you got anything that's going on right now, finish those activities up, head indoors, and let this pass through, because you're probably looking at 20 to maybe 30 minutes away when you start getting as far southeast as maybe Shelby. But this line is really producing some wind and, like you said, some damage there to the west of Morganton. So
there's another huge splat that just came down west of Valdez, in between Valdez and Drexel, and I'm seeing winds even higher than what they were in Morganton. Here, I'm showing a 67 knot wind on GR products there just west of Valdez. So that's right where you're showing. Here's I-40 between 106 and 111, and we're looking at winds possibly reaching around that 70 mile per hour threshold there west of Valdez. So lots of damage reports coming in. Keep them coming to us. We won't be able to talk to them all, but we'll try to get as many as we can on the air. Just know there's a lot of damage going on, not only in Burke County, but across McDowell County and Caldwell County as well. So there's all kinds of electrical hazards out there. I would say if you don't have to be out at this point, don't. Look at this big wind development there along I-40 on the east and southeast of Marion as well. Your gust fronts way down here already in Rutherford County, but there's a huge microburst right there over into the Marion area, just southeast of Marion, right where our weather office is at down in there. So another big gust of wind and possible microburst there as well. Yeah, so the hail threat is increasing again east of Morganton. There in, if I'm talking about Valdez and Drexel as well. Also, Ellendale in Alexander County, your hail threat is increasing, but it looks like it would be pea-size hail there, if any. And then Sawmills, another little notch of pea-size hail. The largest hail is back across central Burke County right now, coming down from Valdez. Chris Brown, you got something?
The wind is starting to pick up here in the center of town, and we're getting reports that power is flickering on and off in the western part of the county right now.
Okay, that makes total sense with what we're seeing on radar. The radar coverage up into Alexander County is not as good, of course, as it is further south with the radar beam looking high. But I'm seeing winds coming into Taylorsville up there of 50 knots, right at 60 miles per hour probably. So, and possibly increasing there as well. So. Bear with me just a moment.
okay, Chris, I'll take over if you want to mute yourself right quick. Just kind of show what's happening across the area. Again, a line of severe thunderstorms that have moved off the Blue Ridge Parkway and off the escarpment, and they're now cutting across the northern half of our coverage area from near Taylorsville to near Hickory and down to the south and east of Marion. These storms are severe and moving off at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. They are producing some damaging winds. We have received reports of wind damage in the Morganton area, and that may translate to the east and southeast over the next few minutes. Let's look at some areas where the wind may be the strongest right now, and you can see essentially from Valdez extending down into the South Mountains into the Golden Valley area in Rutherford County. Those are some very strong winds in that area. And even back here behind that gust of wind, there's some good wind energy aloft. There's still a lot of lightning and a lot of convective activity going on as this all continues to move to the southeast.
Hey, Daniel,
Yes.
report from emergency services of possible funnel cloud now west of Glen Alpine Homestead Drive area. Looking there is a couplet on the northwest side of Glen Alpine. So just a heads up, I'm going to see he can get my FaceTime up so I can see what he's looking at.
Okay, and we'll zoom in on this area right quick. You can kind of see a little couplet right there. According to this image, it's probably crossed I-40 at this point. Looks like it just crossed the Jamestown Road exit 100. So that's moving off to the southeast. It's moving toward Enola. So watch out here on Burkmont Avenue, 64 there in Morganton, Salem, Burkmont, maybe Enola eventually. We're going to have to watch this.
Yeah. Glen Alpine Police Department is reporting a possible funnel now as well there in Glen Alpine.
Okay. Well, and this would again go with the couplet that we're very interested in at this time. To the latest Doppler estimate, this is the lowest level, is showing it just to the southeast of Glen Alpine, and considering the amount of time it took for you to receive that report, that's probably the area that we're watching. It's just to the southeast of Glen Alpine, south of Calvin, southwest of Uptown Morganton, along Interstate 40. Here's Jamestown Road that parallels Interstate 40 and moves into Morganton. And then just looking at some roads here, this is along Silver Creek that flows from the southwest areas up into Morganton. And you can see this is going to be crossing Highway 64 here pretty soon. Salem, Burkmont. Got to watch these areas as it continues to move to the southeast. Of course, there is some hilly terrain right here. But this is definitely an area of suspicion right now. And from what Chris just received on those reports, we're going to have to keep an eye on that as it moves to the south and east. Briefly showing what else is happening. Want to put the regular radar into motion. And I'm going to pull it up onto the slightly elevated tilt there so you can see the extent of the precipitation as it's moving off to the south and east. I can tell you at the LP France Stadium, they've put the tarp on the field, and for good reason, as this line is moving through. Once again, a big thanks to the folks at the Hickory Crawdads Baseball Club for their sponsorship of this coverage tonight, as we are watching severe weather move through the foothills and into the western Piedmont here at 8:25 on Sunday evening. Let's look down here at this cell we was talking about a few minutes ago, to the northwest of Rutherfordton, moving to the south and east. Let's look and see if there's any kind of suspicion on velocity. Don't see a whole lot right there. That's good news, but you can see that linear area of wind that's moving across Rutherford County, and it's now moving into upper Cleveland County. Let's go back and look at what was the report we just received there a few minutes ago to the east and southeast of Glen Alpine, that area of suspicion. It is moving continuously to the southeast. It's now crossed US 64, which is exit 103 along 40. It's now approaching the area along Enola Road, which is exit 104 off of I-40, and it's continuing to the south and east. Not as distinctive as what it was on the previous image, but still there nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think what's happening there, Dan, is this line's the rear flow jet into this line is so strong. That's just that any kind of funnel cloud that's there is just going to be right and pushed off to the east, southeast so quickly. It may briefly touch down and spin up, but I think it's going to get embedded with this line there as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. And, that makes sense because, it started back here and it's already catching up to it. So you're right. That's
we've got some people. My heart goes out to Glen Alpine right now. Looks like we've got a lot of damage to homes there. Turkey Tail Lane there in Glen Alpine. So take these seriously. I'm seeing displaced families there as well. So we are tracking the strong, severe thunderstorms moving across our entire coverage area. Chris Brown, are you seeing anything up there? Not lost Chris. Chris, pop on if you can, when you can. But do have we're watching a ton of damage coming across Burke County right now, and I'm not sure. I've not heard anything out of McDowell County as of yet.
I haven't either, Chris. So hopefully that's good news.
Yeah. Re-racking the cloud tops are going up right here. This is coming into Eichard. This strong winds. Get ready, Eichard, Longview, Hickory, Brookford, Mountain View, Bethlehem, Road Hiss, George Hildebrand. Strong winds coming into your area now, and it's going to be some wind-driven hail in that. That hail core is reaching close to quarter size. It may be even higher than that once it gets a little further east. The hail core's right on top of 18, NC 18 south at Miller Bridge Road. Right now, moving east-southeast. I'm going to go over and see if we're getting any reports there. If you have our app, you can also send us the video you can send us pictures of the. You can send us pictures of what you're seeing if it's safe to do so. Right to our app. That's the quickest way for us to see. And while we're on air, the pictures don't come through to us. There's just very strong winds coming into the southeastern corner of Burke County. Not that these other storms are not important. They're right on top of Vane Mountain as well. Southern McDowell County, the hail core is strengthening there as well. There could be some upcoming damage up in Union Mills and that area.
Chris, I'm trying to find a.
I'm getting a lot of questions about why the sky's turning yellow behind this, and I can answer that while you're trying to look, Dan, because it is outside. So what we've got, we're getting near sunset, so we've got a very low sun angle, and there's a lot of moisture up at the top of the troposphere, and what you're getting is a reflection of that low sun angle against those water particles up in the upper areas of the atmosphere, the clouds up there, and you can really see the skies turning yellow there. So I'm sure there is a lot of lightning there down in the southeast and eastern part of the county, Burke County right now.
Chris, I've got our camera there, Bones Jones again, and you can see how it's clearing out quick.
It is. See how the sun angle is really low here? So you got that moisture in between us and the sun, but it's enough that the sun can shoot through it, and then it's reflecting off these cloud tops here. So you're getting that yellow tint to the sky there. Big thanks to Bones Jones and Digital Eyes Surveillance for providing this cam. It's gorgeous. 30 minutes ago, these trees were whipping down to the ground with getting slapped around by the wind, but it's already calming down there. So re-racking down the east and eastern Burke County. Get ready, western Catawba County as well. I'm seeing the hail increasing around Taylorsville as well. So some pea-sized hail is probably likely coming into the Taylorsville area there too. But our largest hailstones, there may be some ping pong ball size hail now coming into George Hildebrand and the southeastern corner of Burke County. I think the hail core is going to stay just to the south of I-40, the largest hail. You're probably getting some penny size hail along I-40 west of Eichard, but I think that's going to stay along 18 and follow 18 south, so heads up Vale, and in the northeastern portion of Cleveland County, the southwestern quadrant of Catawba County as well.
Yeah, you can really see how there's a couple distinct areas where it's the heaviest, as you mentioned, Alexander, Eastern Burke. Still watching Rutherford County, not nearly as suspicious as it was earlier, but we're still keeping an eye on it. And I'm trying to see if I can pull up another camera. Of course, these cameras from the Bones Jones and the Crawdads camera you can find at our website, foothillsweather.net. You can look at them 24/7 and see what's happening across the area.
Sure can.
Now it'll be interesting, Chris. The severe thunderstorm watch will officially expire for our northern counties at 9 o'clock. We have not received any information from the Weather Service. That's will they extend that or what they'll do, and I'll be interested to see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of photos, people talking about greenish and yellowish look to the sky. And again, let's pull up that camera from Bones Jones. And Chris really described it well. I hope people are watching there, and listen to what we're talking about. Let me pull that up right quick. I know it people a lot of times almost like there's a myth that there's tornadoes and stuff going on. But like you said, the low sun angle at this time of day, because we're reaching sunset, is poking under the clouds, under the water vapor, under the water content that's in the air, and it gives off that greenish or yellow look. I've got several people in McDowell County that have sent me messages, and they're like, I don't like this looking sky. It's kind of creepy yellow. That's essentially all it is. It's the time of the day right before sunset, and the sun and the rays from the sun is hitting under the clouds, under the moisture.
Hey, sorry, I got to interrupt you, Dad. Another couplet possibly developing. This is along the Burke County and the Catawba County line here in the southeastern portion of Burke County. I'm trying to get my radar back situated here. I give some communities and road names out. This is essentially right on top of Old Laurel Road, then Britton Road, Old Shelby Road, then and moving off to the east from there. So that's going to move toward Bannock and Cooksville, and then another little couplet in there. Dan's showing it right there. It's pretty broad rotation right now, but we've seen damage already to the northwest just from straight line winds. So you add any kind of motion to those winds, and you could create more of some damage in that area. So I'm watching all of those areas right now. This is going to cross Highway 10 north of Cooksville, then dropping down towards. Let's see. I'm trying to get my road to come up here. Roney Farm Road and Willem Road down in there. So heads up. Another little couplet developing there. There could be a brief spin up of another tornado in that area. And again, I don't have to tell you across Burke County, there's just a swath of damage across Burke County, really from Glen Alpine, where we've got a roof collapsed. We've got damage in Morganton with trees of power lines, and it continues from there. So,
Chris, here's a zoomed in look at that area I believe you're talking about. That's approaching 127, ain't it?
It is. It is. I think I called 127.10 a minute ago.
Well, 10 cuts across just to the south of it, so that's close enough for those
Heads
areas.
up, new severe thunderstorm warning now for Alexander, Iredell, and northern Catawba County with that line that's moving through there. So damaging winds and a tornado possible up there as well with that. Chris Brown is joining us back now. Let's see if we've got him on here. Chris Brown, you with us? We may have lost Chris there. Really, if all of our counties are under a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. Now, I will say McDowell County, most of the high winds have pushed out of the area. There's still some gusty winds back across Glenwood, really moving off to the south and east. Let's go down to Rutherford County. I think Daniel hit on that a minute ago. That tail end Charlie there has not really produced anything over the last little bit, just some gusty winds moving right into Rutherfordton now. And then all along where you see this green shading, the gray shading out ahead, that is the gust front where this line's pushing a gust of wind way out ahead. I don't know, what is that, 3 miles, 4 miles out ahead of the actual line of storms in there, Dan? Something like that. So
Yeah, it's not very far.
Yeah. Let's see. Hey, Chris Brown, you're on with us. Go ahead. We lost him again. He's in bad coverage area there. So rear inflow jet is in southwest Catawba County now. 70-mile-per-hour winds in the bow. The Weather Service is showing. So that's what we're looking at there. There's rotation there. We're coming right over Probst Crossroads. There's a potential tornado developing here. That rear flow jet is really pushing in here. And where that's happening, we're going to try to get something to spin up here, I'm afraid. Daniel, take that couplet and then let's track it off to the east and to the southeast, a little bit here down through the Catawba County area. It's going to get close to Startown, Newton, and Maiden. Down through there in the Drums Crossroads. Getting reports of trees down on 127 now.
Yeah, Chris, looking at some communities, Roney, about 7 minutes away, Startown, about 12 minutes, Maiden, a little less than 20 minutes, Providence Mill, about 20 minutes. This is a fairly rural area, but still we have residents in the southwestern part of Catawba County. Needs to keep an eye on it. And then eventually, if it's going to hold together, we'll have to watch Oliver's and Drums Crossroads probably 30 minutes from now. And it seems to be holding together pretty well. Let's put the regular reflectivity on here. A lot of precipitation involved with this sail, obviously. So if there is any issue, you're definitely not going to be able to see it if you try to go outside. So please stay inside while this is moving through. Let's see if
yeah, absolutely.
Don't see anything on the correlation coefficient, so that's good.
Chris Brown is reporting to us a lot of damage in town of Taylorsville now. Chris, you with us? What have you got?
Can you hear me now?
I got you now.
Yeah, we've got multiple power lines, multiple trees down in town. I think half of town is out of power right now.
That makes sense with the amount of wind that came through there. It quickly turned around here, and very dangerous lightning. And if you look back towards the west, like I am now, you can see an orange sky. Yeah, everybody's talking about the orange sky, and it's just really pretty with the time of day that these storms are getting east of us there. So the home the family displaced at Glenalpine was from a tree through the roof.
We're getting a ton of pictures, obviously, and we appreciate everybody who are sending those in. We'll try to go through those as much as we can later. We're just kind of focusing on what's happening in the current.
That's right.
And, going back to that cell again near Roney area that may be rotating or trying to rotate at least. We need to to watch that as it continues to move to the south and east. You can see the last few minutes on that. That's going to cross through 21 and head into Startown pretty soon. And then eventually it might clip Maiden. But that's really, one area focused along that entire line that now runs from Iredell County all the way down to southwest Catawba, all the way down to upper Cleveland and the eastern part of the Rutherford County. Lawndale, Polkville, Bellwood, those areas, winds are probably picking up at this time. As you head into lower Rutherford County around Bostic and Forest City and Ellenboro, your wind will be picking up here pretty quick.
I got a ton of pictures coming in on our app, Dan. If you want to keep track of that, I'll try to get these up and show them.
Sounds good. So we'll kind of go through the radar here as it's 8:45 on Sunday evening. You can see kind of that western extent that we saw earlier that was coming out of the Asheville area. It's weakened and not as ominous as we saw earlier, but you can see obviously how the area is bowing out from the Hickory metro area and working its way back across Lincoln and Cleveland County. And that's what we're going to have to watch as we head into the next half hour, because this is going to continue to the southeast. Shelby, you're going to get some rain from this. Lincolnton, you're going to get some rain, some gusty winds. And again, we'll have to watch this area right here in southwest Catawba. There could be some hail potential. And we're still keeping an eye on the velocities in that area as they look a little suspicious. Maybe a little better than it was earlier, but still we need to watch as it's crossing 321 across the southern parts of Catawba County.
Dan, that's having a tough time loading all these pictures, but as soon as I get them, we'll share some of them out there. But yeah, just a tough night across the foothills there. With the amount of wind that's come through the area. Here again, the severe thunderstorm watch behind this line will expire at 9 and then 11 o'clock across the Highway 74 corridor counties. Dan, can you take us into northern Rutherford County there? You see that couplet?
Yeah, let's see
Union Mills area. Maybe just southeast of Vane. It doesn't look too impressive on velocity, so. Nothing too much. Doesn't look too impressive there on velocities, does it?
I'm looking at National Weather Service chat to see if there's any reports. There was a report of a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust on a Davis weather station along Devil's Track Road. I don't know exactly what county that is. I'm assuming it's Caldwell, just from the source that we've got that information from. But we're not seeing any, I guess good news is we're not seeing anything as far as confirmed wind damage in eastern Burke in the last few minutes. But of course, damage can be a little bit relayed or delayed coming into the proper authorities, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. So let's go back to regular reflectivity. You can see what's happening as these storms have moved off the mountains and into the western Piedmont, and they're continuing to the south and east. We'll put it into motion. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for at least a few more minutes. Let's see when it expires. Trying to pull that up right quick.
You're looking at the northernmost or the center?
No, the one across Catawba. So we got about another 12 minutes.
And they've reissued it, just reissued it.
So that's basically going to cover the rest of Cleveland and Lincoln and Gaston. And, of course, that's going to go into the Charlotte metro area. And, of course, that'll be interesting with the race going on at the Speedway.
Yeah. And you can see how big that watch is, or I'm sorry, that warning is now. Anywhere inside that warning, you have time to prepare right now, unless you're on that western flank. Now's the time to prepare. Put those emergency action plans into place that you've got, and move away from windows and doors. Let these things pass and move through the area. Get through, and Dan, I've got another couplet in Longdale, northern
Okay.
Cleveland County,
Yes. Let's pull that up.
favorite area.
Yeah,
So
the
heads up,
southeast Kaiser.
yeah, southeast of Kaiser. Really tightened up in the last frame. So heads up Longdale, heads up Bean Mill. Um, there's a couplet developing there. This is moving off to the east of the southeast. It'll get near Lawndale and then Falston, Bean Mill, Baker's Crossroads. You folks had a tornadic supercell go through there roughly 15 days ago or so. This is just to the east of that. That one started on 10. This one's just to the east of it now now northwest of Lawndale there.
Yeah, that is a very favorite area sometimes that we have to watch there in Upper Cleveland County. Back to the traditional radar loop, and you can see our storms that are moving off to the southeast, and you can kind of see just a little bit how that's kind of hooks a little bit right there. So that's kind of that southwest flank we were talking about a little bit earlier. It's kind of translated its way into Cleveland County. So that is something we'll definitely need to watch.
Yeah, it has. Trying to get Stewart a heads up down there. I'm sure he already sees it.
So just got word severe thunderstorm watch. They've canceled it for the far western areas. They're keeping Catawba in until 11 to pretty much cover what's currently happening. So that's the newest information on the severe thunderstorm watch is that if you're in Burke, McDowell, Caldwell, you're officially out of the watch. It's being allowed to expire at 9 o'clock. And they're going to let Catawba go another 2 hours just to get this current area of storms out of here before letting that watch go.
Yeah, that couplet is still looking fairly broad. I'm waiting on a new scan here. There we go. It's kind of falling apart there on the latest scan west of Falston. So it looks really broad now using the GR product. There is a big hail core. I think that's Advent Crossroads in southwest Catawba County. That's where that rear flow jet's kicking into it. Another big hail producer there in Union Mills, north of Ruth, with the potential cores falling there.
Yeah, there, Westminster along 64.
Yeah.
That'll drop into Sunshine and Washburn here in the next few minutes.
Then I've slipped by radar over to Terminal off screen, and I'm just watching these low level winds in Catawba County. Now it's pushed through Maiden. The forward the outflow boundary is pushed through Maiden, so they're getting gusty winds. Now it's coming into Lincolnton, and I'm watching this Lincolnton area as well off on there just to see. There's the little rotation on the south side there with that rear flow jet coming in, and we'll see if anything tries to push into Lincolnton or Iron Station there. But at the very least, I'd treat this as a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado down in that area as well. I'm going to update these alerts ticker.
So let's look at what's happening in the area Chris was talking about. I want to make sure that this is showing up on the screen. For some reason, it's not, which is weird. So let's fix this and see if we can do this right. Okay, now we're in business. So let's look at what's happening across Cleveland and Lincoln counties. We just got a new radar update. There's Bellwood. That area was watching earlier, not very organized, or at least not compared to what it was earlier. And that area kind of extends off to the east, just to the south of Bell, and to the northwest of Lincolnton. So you can kind of see where the leading edge of that is running through right now, and it's going to progress to the south and east over the next little bit. It should clear Rutherford County probably in the next 15, 20 minutes, probably 30 minutes to get it all the way through Cleveland County, and maybe 30 minutes or so to get it all the way across Lincoln County. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. We don't see anything overly suspicious right now, but it's worth keeping an eye on considering the setup. So let's go back to regular velocity. Good news, if you're in Lenore, if you're in Morganton, if you're in Marion, if you're in Lake Lure, if you're in Tryon, for now the severe weather threat has ended. So that's good news. Of course, we've received reports of some damage in just west of Morganton, unfortunately. And we're looking to see if there's any new reports coming out along this current line. We haven't seen anything. But the severe weather threat for Marion, Morganton, Lenore, Lake Lure, Tryon has ended for now. Now, there may be more storms that come in very late tonight, first thing tomorrow morning. We'll talk about that a little bit later as we get the rest of this done. But for our far western areas and right along the Blue Ridge Parkway, you're good right now. Of course, some of y'all saw some sunshine before we went totally dark this evening. Looking at the radar, you can see really there's kind of three patches. You've got this one area near Sunshine in Rutherford County. You got a really strong area just to the northwest of Bellwood, and then eastern Catawba down into north central Lincoln County. Another area of very heavy rain, quite a bit of lightning, and some gusty winds that could cause some damage. Let's pull up the velocity once again. And we'll have to watch this area right here just to the northwest of Maiden, Chris. I don't know if you can see this right on 321, an area that's kind of cutting itself off from the rest of the wind energy. I mean, you can see, it's interesting. You can see how you've got this outflow right here that's cutting across this area. But right here, you have another area where it's trying to come together. It's real interesting. We saw that earlier across Burke County and southwest Catawba. Now we're seeing it again.
Yep, and that's that rear flow jet coming in to it, just trying to notch up there, and the hail threat is increasing now to about maybe quarter, maybe just a little larger east of Newton and Claremont. And then over that same cell you were just talking about, probably some quarter size hail falling there now as well.
So that's a look at what's going on right now. It is approaching 9 o'clock here on Sunday night. We're continuing to cover severe weather across the Western Carolinas. The Daniel Crawley, along with Chief Meteorologist Christopher White. Chris Brown from up in Alexander County has been giving us some updates throughout the evening, but we're continuing to monitor the severe weather. Tonight's severe weather coverage sponsored by the Hickory Crawdads Baseball Club. Thank you for the support and for us to be able to get this coverage in tonight as storms have moved through the region. And of course, speaking of the Crawdads, they had a baseball game tonight that started at 6:30, and they got partially into it before the rain settled in and knocked them out for the evening, which I'm sure
Dan and terminal Doppler radar is picking up a TVS. They're just to the west of Lincoln now, but it looks pretty broad to me right now. But if I'm in Lincoln, Boger City, Iron Station, Laboratory, seeking shelter in the interior rooms, away from windows and doors, let this storm pass and move by your area until they go through. There's nothing on this. That's it right there, just to the west. It's a dark shading west of Lincoln on velocities right there. Yeah. Krause, High Shoals. It looks pretty broad right now. I don't think there's anything other than just some strong winds going on. But winds wind. We say it 100 times, don't we, Dan? It doesn't matter if it's moving in a straight line or if it's moving in a rotating fashion. It can do just as much damage as one can from the other. So yeah, it's a dangerous situation. And if you were watching from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, or you're here, you've got people at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the warning does extend down to the Charlotte Motor Speedway now for these winds that will be coming in down there as well. Right there where Daniel was outlining, that is the gust front with the rear flow jet coming in behind that. And that's why we're getting the couplets to develop, especially in Catawba and Lincoln counties in there. There could be brief spin-ups off and on in there.
Let's translate this. You're talking about Speedway. Let's translate this at 40 miles per hour through the rest of that warning polygon, and you can kind of see what areas could be impacted over the next 30, 45 minutes. Denver, 5 minutes away. Westport, 10 or so minutes away. And then once you work into the northern Mecklenburg County there around Davidson, Huntersville, 25 minutes away. And then Concord, you start getting out of our coverage area, obviously, but you're getting into a very populated area in the next 30 to 45 minutes as that stuff continues to move to the south and east.
Yeah, and those strongest winds in our coverage area from Lincoln to Sherrills Ford right now in Catawba in there. And so, and you see how those winds are starting to back right there over Iron Station. That's a concern. That's over Highway 73 where those winds are starting to back. When we get that little curlicue try to develop and the winds try to back right in there and, right there. And we tried to get that little curlicue to develop. We could get a brief spin up, Iron Station, Lowesville, Triangle, Westport, interior rooms away from windows and doors, let this storm pass there as well.
If you're along
20, right on 321. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're along 27 there at Boger City, and I know a lot of people when they try to go in North Mecklenburg County, they'll actually cut through the country in this area. So you're probably familiar with 27 and where NC 73 starts there just east of Boger City. That is really what Chris said. That's where it starts, and then you can just see how it tries to turn just a little bit. Last thing you want is that thing to start turning and doing one of these things. We've not seen that in recent minutes, but that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on.
Absolutely. A lot of damage coming in across the Burke County and Alexander County, Caldwell County area. McDowell EM hasn't received many damage reports at all, which is good news there. Burke is inundated right now, and if you don't have to be out in Burke County, that my recommendation is stay put. Looks like the 911 call system is overloaded right now in Burke County ongoing. So re-racking, our strongest winds are from Iron Station now all the way up to Westport, Sherrills Ford. They just moved through your area. And this is all moving off to the east and to the southeast through the Triangle, Lowesville, Iron Station areas. And it's moving off at a good clip too. I mean, that rear flow jet's pushing it. The cold pool of air come in, and we're moving probably 50 miles per hour or so on this line. Dan?
Yeah, I know. I know on the warning it was 40, but it's probably accelerated even more. Let me do another track on that using this as kind of the centering. Well, that's the wrong. Nope, that's the right one. Hold on a second.
I get that confused all the time too.
We have all kinds of gadgets on here, Chris. So let's kind of translate that to the southeast, and we'll put it at 45. And you can see Alexis, Mariposa, Stanley, which is in Gaston County, Lowesville, the Mountain Island Lake area, Mount Holly is about 20 minutes away. So you're getting into very populated areas. I mean, total population, 1.5 million plus. So folks in Eastern Lincoln, and once you get into North Meg and Gaston, you're going to have some weather heading your way in the next 15 to about 30 minutes. Checking to see. Some of these messages. And I'm going to zoom out. Let's go back to GSP's radar right quick so we can see the actual precipitation for the whole coverage area. Let me pull that back up. So here we are with precipitation. You can see very heavy rainfall across southeast Catawba County, down in Lincoln County, and in a scattered fashion across eastern Rutherford and into Cleveland County. I see Shelby's getting wet at this time as all of that is moving off to the east. And actually that in Shelby's trying to catch up with the rear flank. So watch out Waco, Stony Point, Kings Mountain. That looks like it's all trying to converge there in the eastern part of Cleveland County. At the very least, you're going to have some very heavy rain. Maybe some gusty winds. But the one area that looks the worst right now for us is centered basically right over Maiden, down to Lincolnton, and over to Sherrills Ford. And then we need to watch this area next to Vale, just to the east of Falston, there along Stagecoach Trail, along NC 274 that runs through Holes Crossroads and eventually runs into Cherryville there in Gaston County. All that's kind of coming together here on the very tail end of this.
It sure is. A lot of questions about who's in the clear and who is not. I'll tell you, Polk, Rutherford County, McDowell County, Burke County. Draw that line in there, Dan. Anybody northwest of this line is going to be all clear for now for this round. That everybody's good. Even Alexander County. I know you're still getting moderate rain in there. Caldwell County, but the severe weather risk has moved off to the east southeast. And again, we're going to be watching for more storms to organize upstream in the Ohio Valley and upper Mississippi River Valley later tonight and move east. Those would come in toward the morning time frame. But right now, we've got to get the rest of these storms through our area, and we're working on tracking a gusty line of severe thunderstorms now over to the east of Iron Station, coming through Westport, Triangle, and Lowesville in those areas. So,
yeah, you can see on the velocity right here Let me draw out kind of where the strongest winds are. And some of this is not exactly in our area. I mean, the strong winds actually go all the way up to Salisbury, Mooresville, and it cuts across into extreme southeast Catawba, eastern Lincoln, and then down to roughly 321 before it starts to slow down a little bit west of 321.
Yeah, and I know we've got some folks from Charlotte Emergency Management watching, and Emergency Management. This line's coming into Huntersville, and it'll be in there in the next little bit. I'd expect a lot of tree damage from Huntersville over to Kannapolis in those areas. You see that line really, that is the strongest part coming into the northern end of the county, right there along I-77 now.
Yeah, let's put a motion. Let's put a storm track on that right quick. For those who may be watching, put it through the rest of that warning area over the next 45 minutes. Let's see if that's going to allow me to do that. It's being finicky with me here, Chris.
Yeah, it is a little finicky there.
Okay, here we go. So let's put it at 45 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's about good.
And, the vast majority of these areas that are going to pop up is going to be outside of our coverage area. But, Westport, it's right on you. Cowan's Ford and Cornelius within about 10 minutes. Huntersville, about 15 minutes or so away. Let's see. Some of these areas are about 20, 25, 30 minutes away. So, yeah.
There's the Rocky River. That's over near the Speedway.
So about 35 minutes.
About 35 minutes away. Yep. Charlotte
So,
Speedway, where the race is going on tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, folks in the Charlotte metro area, this line's coming, and I don't know why there'd be much of a reason for it to weaken a whole lot. It should hold together.
Yeah, I think it will. Probably 60-mile-per-hour winds coming in there. I don't think you'll have those gusts of 70 like we saw across the western and northern foothills, but that rear flow jet's continuing. You can see it right there. Daniel zoomed in on over Maiden, continuing to feed into the line of storms. So it's going to continue to push. Don't be surprised if this tries to bow out forward a little bit as well as it comes into Cornelius and the Cornelius and Huntersville area. So, and watch this up around Mooresville too. It's going to start trying to move more southerly than southeast. So
Yeah,
it's kind of coming at you a couple directions.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can kind of see how it's like it. And then really when you get west of 321, you lose the wind energy.
Yep.
So essentially, if you were along and east of 321 in Lincoln County, southeast Lincoln County, you're dealing with some wind issues right now for the next 10, 15, 20 minutes. If you're west of 321, it tails off pretty quick. So that's good news. I mean, the vast majority of our coverage area, we're getting away from the severe weather threat, but that very southeast part of Lincoln for the next 15, 20 minutes, and then that works into the Charlotte metro.
Looks like some pretty good, maybe a little pea-sized hail falling there in Cherryville. If you're looking at correlation coefficient in Cherryville right now, it looks like that there is a little lowering there, but that's not going to be anything other than hail, it looks like. Yep. So this continues to move off to the east, southeast in Lincoln and Catawba counties. Cheryl Ford is pouring the rain there, but the highest wind is just about through and done there. The heaviest rain in the Elkhorn, just to the east of Maiden, north of Iron Station now, and then that with that wind moving off to the east southeast. Get ready for some damaging winds from Mariposa, then over to the Cowan's Ford road area pretty quickly here.
Yeah, that's going to be quick. And then
Anyway, I'm seeing this right there on the just east of Maiden, on the GSP radar site. I'm seeing it the rear flow jet try to spin something else up there north of Pumpkin Center. But I'm not. Again, I'm on GSP. I don't see it on. You're on the terminal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see it lowering. So mid-level rotation there is what we have with rotating updraft north of Iron Station.
Yeah, let's look at
Nothing
that real
imminent.
quick.
Yeah, right in there. There's a area of some increased winds east of Maiden on 16.
Yep, there you go. That's that area. There along 150, Oliver's Crossroads, Killian Crossroads. That'll move into Denver, Terrell, and Webb's. It'll drop down a little bit. Kind of follow 16 there a little bit too. So the good news for the pretty much the bulk of our coverage area is severe weather threat's over for now. So that's good news. Of course, you're still getting the reports coming in from the Morganton, Glen Alpine area in particular of some damage, which is unfortunate. And anytime you hear anything sniffing coming out of there, feel free to jump in there, Chris, and interrupt me on that.
Yeah, you're good. Nothing significant right now. I'm seeing Chris Brown send us some photos.
So going back
A lot
to
of trees down there. Wow, that pulled the whole sidewalk up with it in Alexander, in Taylorsville.
really,
It sure did.
wow.
Yeah, it's in our group chat there, Facebook group chat.
So you can see the leading winds is over Mariposa right now, getting ready to slam into Cowan's Ford there in Lincoln County, and it's translating off to the south and east at a pretty good clip.
Yeah, still that area just east of Maiden, just that rear flow jet, just trying to create havoc there. If I'm in Westport and Triangle, take those tornado precautions. Interior room away from windows and doors. Let this storm pass through your area. It hasn't tightened up to the point where I would say there's a tornado there, but it could at any second, and it could be in between radar frames.
So, Chris, let's kind of, while we're letting that work its way through, let's go back and talk about kind of how this all evolved. About 2 hours ago, these storms started coming off. Maybe it wasn't 2 hours ago. My time, I'm a little off right now, but we really was worried about this energy that was coming off of Mount Mitchell State Park and down into Little Switzerland. And then as it moved across McDowell County, fortunately, we did not receive any wind damage reports, but it really got itself together over the Linville Gorge and the east, and it caused the damage there in Glen Alpine. And it has steadily just progressed south and east over the past 2 hours.
Yeah, and just swaths of damage, just long swaths where you don't have with tornadoes, they're very isolated. The damage is isolated. These are just long swaths of damage, at least through Burke County, that I'm seeing all the way really from west of Morganton, Hildebrand, George Hildebrand now, down into Hickory, into the southwestern corner of Catawba County, Longview. Just seeing a lot of damage there, and I'm sure it's continued further south and east than there because that line never did let up.
Yeah, it definitely it held tough, and of course the area that you've been talking about the last few minutes now, between Maiden and Denver along 150 and approaching Highway 16, there along the Catawba and Lincoln County line. put it into motion, and you can see it translating to the east and southeast. And what that does on that rear part, it just pushes everything out ahead of it
Mm-hmm.
and helps accelerate it.
So you see how this was laying back in here that Dan was talking about the outflow was laying back some in here, but look at how it's really pushing out ahead now. Again with this rear flow jet streaking in behind it.
And of course, if
Yeah.
anybody's curious, why is there a wedge of no data to the northwest of the terminal Doppler? Well, when the Doppler was installed right there, there's some interference off to the north and west of the Doppler. And so basically it leaves a void area of data through the entire length of the Doppler. So as you can see, there's a wedge of data that runs northwest, or a void of data that runs all the way northwest the entire length of the radar. And of course it widens out too as you get farther away. So that's for those who may be watching and curious, that's why there's like a little wedge right there where there's no data coming in.
Yeah.
That's something we deal with a lot of times when it comes to forecasting and stuff using the terminal Doppler. It's a great tool, especially for our far eastern counties. The only drawback is that one little void area of data.
Yep. It's there's a monkey wrench in there. Be sure to email your legislators and let them know that we need some better radar coverage in the area. We're
Yes.
working through a process with them on it. Didn't get through on this budget session, but hoping it will next year.
Yep. So
the hail cores are increasing again just west of Westport. There's probably some quarters there, maybe some quarters there southeast of Sheriff's Ford, right on top of Lake Norman. So I hope everybody's off the lake, and anybody that was camping out on the lake in a houseboat, oof, not a good night to be out there tonight. That's for sure.
no, definitely not.
And Dan, there's another line that we're expecting in here tomorrow morning around sunrise or just after, as well, and it may speed up and come in just before sunrise. So be aware of that as well. If you're
We don't have the actual radar itself, but what we're talking about is back here over southern Illinois, Missouri, western Kentucky. That is another organized area of showers and thunderstorms. And as you can see, a whole bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings, some tornado warnings. Ooh, and there's even
tornado emergency.
right there in southwestern Kentucky. That's not good. This whole complex, just kind of circle this area right here. This whole complex tonight will gradually work down like this, a lot like what we had today. And current estimates that it could reach the southern Appalachians pre-daybreak for Monday morning. So don't be at all surprised if right around daybreak, especially our far western areas, there could be some more thunder, lightning, maybe even some wind gusts.
Absolutely. Current gust front is just come through Cornelius. It's coming into Huntersville. It just come through Lowesville, Triangle, Stanley, northeastern Gaston County. I know we have some followers there. So that gust front's already down there. And if you're just joining us, about an hour ago, this was maybe not even that. Maybe it was 45 minutes ago. I lose track of time. This was doing damage back across Burke, Caldwell, and Alexander counties before it pushed out into the southern and eastern foothills, now into the Piedmont.
So let's take what's happening right here and let's extrapolate it out. We'll go at about 45 miles per hour.
Yep, that's probably about right.
Yep, trying to see if I can pull that up again. Anyway, I'll work on that here in just a second, but you can see that line, how it's moving to the south and east. Okay, here we go. So let's put that at about 45 miles per hour. And of course, a lot of this is now getting into Mecklenburg County, eastern Gaston County, places like Huntersville. It's right on you. Areas like Harrisburg, Hickory Grove, all those areas right there in the Charlotte metro area, you're going to be impacted here very soon.
And if you're looking at GSP radar, the rear flow jets really increase in Terrell and Sherrills Ford and that area, but it looks aloft on the terminal radar out of Charlotte, which gives us a lower scan. Not all of that wind does not mix it down, and certainly the circulation, the broad circulation aloft is not reaching down into the lowest levels on the terminal Doppler radar right now. It's just a strong supercellular thunderstorm there that's got a rotating updraft in it.
Yep. And you can see once you 95% of our coverage area has dried out for now. That's good. So the severe weather threat has ended. And it's ending fairly quick for what little area that we're covering left. But this is moving into the Charlotte metro area. And with it being 9:25 p.m., the Coca-Cola 600 is still going on. So folks that are at the Speedway, you're getting wet here very soon and very windy. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up off camera here. Let's see where they are on the race. I haven't pulled it up on my television.
I haven't seen. I'm not sure.
They're promoting
Yeah,
something.
I'm looking at low level velocities up there over Terrell. And
So
Webb's. Yeah.
just out of curiosity, they're at lap 243 out of 400. They're halfway through stage 3.
That rain's just about on them in that gust front. So,
yeah.
That splat of wind there in Terrell that may be coming to the ground. Heads up Terrell Mayhew. I know that's over into Iredell County somewhat, right there on Lake Norman, coming down into northwest of Cordelius. I think you're going to see an enhancement of winds, maybe to 65 miles per hour in there. You can see right there is what I'm talking about. That's all aloft. We're looking at 9,000 feet. But what I am starting to see is those winds increase at the surface as well, whether they may not be spinning or anything, but we are starting to see those winds enhance there northwest of Cornelius. Now, they'll come down to the ground and they won't splat there to be out ahead of it.
Yeah, that's 66 mile per hour wind right there. Getting ready to drop into northern Mecklenburg County. Let's put that into motion. I'm kind of curious to see. Look at the origins of that. That's really pulsed up.
Mm-hmm.
You can see, Chris, that's really pulsed up in the last few minutes.
Sure has. Yeah, that's that rear flow jet really increasing that there. So the indications are obviously that, as you can see here, what will happen is we're going to get a big splat of wind here, and I think this whole line is probably going to gust out, and then it's going to weaken. So that's good news downstream from there. It's not going to fall apart, but we're still talking to 30, 40 mile per hour winds even outside of that. But I think what we're seeing is this thing really, really start to gust out here with these big pulses and then collapses.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to pull up what's happening here.
I don't think there's any hail falling back across our area at this time, across the foothills. I think we're done with that. Cleveland County, I would admit you from the you're in the clear now. There is a cell right there along the South Carolina border that's really strong along Kings Mountain that's producing some 1-inch hail now. So Kings Mountain down in there, the Kings Mountain has the new what's the casino in Kings Mountain. It's right over at the casino
Yeah, was it
down in Kings
Catawba
Mountain.
Ridge?
Catawba Ridge Casino. It is. Yep.
Yep. And that, if you look at that activity is more or less going to come northeast and kind of merge right over the heart of Charlotte.
Well, yeah, and you need to what we done. That's a tail end Charlie too, and that's interesting.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to keep
You
an eye
got to
on.
watch that. Down there, just south of 85, south of Kings Mountain, right on the state line.
Yep, let's zoom into that. Dixon, Grover, just to the southeast of Dixon. And at the very least, that is producing some very heavy rainfall and some hail.
Yeah, I'm seeing a little larger than quarters possibly falling just south of the state line there. Impressive little sail. Back up across our area.
Chris, you can see that area is talking about earlier southeast of Maiden, now pretty much over Denver. There's
Sure
a
is.
spike in lightning right there, so there's creating some upward motion for sure.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, I mean, for our coverage area going back, from the mountains eastward to, where we end our coverage area, we're in good shape right now for the most
We
part.
sure are. Yeah. I like where we're at. And good news is the severe weather threats in southeast Catawba County and eastern Lincoln County and Cass County still has some thunder and lightning to deal with. But, the severe threats really coming down with the wind. We'll stay on another 5 minutes or so. We're going to watch that area just because it is just in our coverage area there at Denver and over Lake Norman. But that's the only concern that we really have at this point. And in fact, it's right in that radar hole. It's tough to see. But what I suspect is going on is it's really climbed. We've got a big spike in lightning. We'll just have to see what happens as that tries to traverse trout south and east.
Trying to see if we can pull up the Greer Doppler. Just see what's happening.
I mean, there's still a lot of heavy rain if you're south of 150, south of 73, but it is moving quickly.
Yeah.
And again, our coverage tonight has been sponsored by the Hickory Crawdads. Be sure to join them June the 5th through June the 9th and for their next homestand out at the Friends. LP Friends Stadium, a good place to have fun for the whole entire family. Big thanks to them for sponsoring our severe weather coverage tonight. And it looks like, I guess they're rained out for the night, right? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. When that hit, they, I believe they got their 5 innings in to make an official game, and they had a fireworks show.
Now look at that.
Now they had it from Mother Nature, but they had their own as well.
Yeah. So a good night out there for Memorial Day to finish up this homestand. And they'll be back next week and starting off on Tuesday for Dollar Dog Tuesday. And then other promotions are running across the bottom of the screen from there.
Yep.
That you can
And
bid.
hopefully we'll give them some nicer weather.
I hope so.
They lost one of the nights earlier this week. They had a storm hit right before game time, and it washed them out. And then they had 2 double headers, I think, this week, or 2 double headers within a week. I can't remember. They've been unlucky at the ballpark a little bit, but at least we got them through tonight.
Well, it's we got them through tonight. They got it that handled. Looks like the latest trends in the models for the next line of severe weather to come in here around 7-8 o'clock in the morning time frame, but it will be in a weakening trend because of its timing of the day. And our atmosphere has really been worked over tonight with these cells, so there's not going to be a lot of energy left over to work for, and that could spell less severe coverage out tomorrow afternoon. Just some more scattered storms going in tomorrow night. You get another spiking wind moving out toward Mooresville, the northern areas of Mecklenburg County and Statesville. So right on 77.
Yep.
Well, I think that's going to do it for our coverage. The severe weather's wrapping up across our area. We appreciate you watching and joining us. We hope you are safe. We hope that you got through this with minimal damage. We hope you have a great rest of your Memorial Day holiday weekend. Be safe out there and enjoy the weather.
Yep.
For Foothills Action Network, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Chris, we'll have the actual 7 days since we've been busy with severe weather coverage. We'll have the actual 7-day update here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, we'll knock that out, and 7-day forecast promises to be a little drier, we hope. So, at least out past Monday.
Yeah.
All right. So, for the Hickory Crawdads, thanks for sponsoring us again. Get out there for their next homestand. Starts June the 5th and starts with Tuesday night, Dollar Dog. For lead forecaster Daniel Crawley, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris White. Big thanks to Chris Brown for his coverage of the Alexander County stuff. We'll join you tomorrow morning if severe weather is to impact the area. Good night.